The room was quiet. Too quiet. Dr. Melissa Carter stared at the autopsy report in her hands. Her eyes moved slowly across the words again and again, like she hoped they would change. But they didn't. This can't be right," she whispered. Detective Ryan Brooks leaned forward. "What is it?" he asked, his voice low. Melissa swallowed hard. "You said this was an accident. A simple fall down the stairs." Ryan nodded. "That's what everyone said. His wife, the neighbors, even the first responders." Melissa looked up at him, her face pale. "Then why," she said slowly, "does the report show that he was already dead before he hit the stairs?" Ryan froze. "What do you mean?" he asked. Melissa placed the paper on the table and tapped a line with her finger. "No signs of struggle on the outside. But inside," she paused, her voice shaking, "there's poison in his blood." Ryan's heart began to race. "Poison?" Melissa nodded. "A strong one. Fast-acting. He didn't fall and die. He died, and then someone made it look like a fall." Ryan stepped back, his mind spinning. "That means—" he began. "It means someone in that house is lying," Melissa finished. Ryan thought about the smiling wife, Emily Harper. He thought about how calm she was, how sad but not too sad. He thought about the way she told the story, like she had practiced it. "He slipped," she had said. "I heard the noise and found him at the bottom of the stairs." Ryan clenched his fists. Because now, that story didn't just sound wrong. It sounded planned. And the scariest part? Emily Harper wasn't the only person in that house that night. Ryan slowly looked back at Melissa. "There was someone else there," he said. Melissa's eyes widened. "Who?" Ryan didn't answer right away. Because at that moment, he realized something even worse. The second person was a child. And children don't lie well. But sometimes, they are too scared to tell the truth. 2 days earlier, the Harper house was full of soft music and the smell of fresh coffee. It was a calm morning, the kind that made everything feel normal. Emily stood in the kitchen, stirring her mug. Her long brown hair was tied back neatly. She looked tired, but she smiled when she saw her husband, Daniel, walk in. "Morning," she said. Daniel nodded. "Morning." He looked at her for a moment, like he wanted to say something. But then he just grabbed his keys from the counter. "You're leaving already?" Emily asked. "Yeah. Got a long day." There was a short silence. Then Emily said softly, "We need to talk tonight." Daniel stopped at the door. His back was still turned. "I know," he said. "We will." Then he left. Emily stood there, holding her coffee tightly. Her smile was gone now. Upstairs, a small door creaked open. A young boy, no older than 10, peeked out. His name was Lucas. He watched his father leave through the window. Then he looked at his mother. He didn't say anything, but his face showed something strange. Not sadness, not fear. Something else. Something worried. That evening, the house felt different. The air was heavy. Dinner was quiet. Plates clinked softly. No one talked much. Lucas sat at the table, moving his food around but not eating. Daniel finally spoke. "Lucas, eat your dinner." Lucas nodded quickly. "Yes, Dad." Emily watched them both. Then she said, "Lucas, go to your room. We need to talk." Lucas hesitated. "But—" "Now," Emily said, a little sharper this time. Lucas stood up and walked away slowly. But he didn't go far. He stopped halfway up the stairs. And he listened. Downstairs, voices grew louder. "You can't keep hiding this," Emily said. "I'm not hiding anything," Daniel replied. "That's not what the bank says." There was silence. Then Daniel said, "Lower your voice." "No," Emily said. "I'm done being quiet." Lucas leaned closer, his heart beating fast. Then, a loud crash. Lucas jumped. Something hit the floor hard. Then, silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Lucas slowly walked down one step. "Mom," he called softly. No answer. He took another step. And then, He saw something at the bottom of the stairs. Someone. Not moving. Lucas's breath caught in his throat. Because lying there was his father. And standing just behind him was his mother, holding something in her hand. And when she looked up at Lucas, her face changed completely. "Go back to your room," she said. But Lucas didn't move. Because now he had seen everything. Ryan sat in his car outside the Harper house, staring at the front door. It looked the same as before. Clean. Quiet. Normal. But now he knew better. He picked up the file again and looked at the picture of Daniel Harper. A normal man. A normal life. That's what it looked like. Until it wasn't. Ryan stepped out of the car and walked to the door. He knocked twice. A few seconds later, the door opened. Emily Harper stood there. She gave a small, polite smile. "Detective Brooks." "Mrs. Harper," Ryan said. "May I come in?" She stepped aside. Of course. The house smelled like fresh flowers. Everything was neat. Too neat. Ryan looked around as he walked in. "How are you holding up?" he asked. Emily closed the door gently. "I'm doing my best," she said. "For Lucas." Ryan nodded. "Speaking of Lucas, is he home?" Emily hesitated for just a second. Then she smiled again. "Yes. He's upstairs. I'd like to talk to him." Emily's smile faded a little. "He's been through a lot." "I understand," Ryan said calmly. "I'll be gentle." There was a long pause. Then Emily said, "All right. I'll call him." She walked to the stairs. "Lucas," she called. "Come down, please." Slow footsteps followed. Lucas appeared at the top of the stairs. He looked smaller than Ryan remembered. His eyes were tired. He slowly walked down. Ryan crouched slightly to be at eye level. "Hey, Lucas." Lucas didn't smile. "Hi. I just want to ask you a few questions. That okay?" Lucas glanced at his mother. Emily gave him a soft look. "It's okay, sweetheart." Lucas nodded slowly. Ryan pointed to the living room. "Let's sit." They all sat down. Emily stayed close, watching carefully. Ryan spoke gently. "Can you tell me what happened the night your dad fell?" Lucas looked at the floor. His hands were shaking a little. "I was upstairs," he said quietly. "Did you hear anything?" Lucas nodded. "They were arguing." Ryan leaned forward slightly. "What were they arguing about?" Lucas hesitated. Emily spoke quickly. "It was just stress. Nothing serious." Ryan didn't look at her. "Lucas." Lucas swallowed. "Money," he said. Ryan nodded. "Okay. Then what happened?" Lucas took a deep breath. "I heard a loud noise." "What kind of noise?" "Like something falling." Ryan's eyes narrowed slightly. "And then—" Lucas's voice got softer. "I went to the stairs." Emily shifted in her seat. Ryan noticed. "And what did you see?" Ryan asked. Lucas didn't answer right away. He looked at his mother again. This time, Emily didn't smile. Her eyes were fixed on him. Lucas quickly looked back down. "I saw my dad on the floor," he said. "Was he moving?" Lucas shook his head. "Was your mom there?" Lucas froze. The room felt colder. Emily leaned forward slightly. "Lucas, honey, just tell him what you told the other officer." Ryan finally looked at her. "Let him answer." Silence filled the room. Lucas's breathing got faster. Then he whispered, "Yes." Ryan's voice stayed calm. "What was she doing?" Lucas's lips trembled. Emily spoke again, sharper this time. "He already told you. I found your father after he fell." Ryan didn't break eye contact with Lucas. "Is that true?" Lucas opened his mouth. But no words came out. Ryan could see it now. Fear. Not confusion. Fear. "Lucas," Ryan said gently, "you're not in trouble. I just need the truth." Lucas's eyes filled with tears. Suddenly, Emily stood up. "That's enough," she said. He's tired. Ryan stood up too. Mrs. Harper, this is important. And my son's well-being is more important, she snapped. The room went silent again. Ryan studied her face. She wasn't just upset. She was nervous. Very nervous. All right, Ryan said slowly. We can continue this later. Emily nodded quickly. Yes. Later. Ryan turned to leave. But as he reached the door, he heard something. A faint sound. A whisper. He turned slightly. Lucas was looking at him. And very softly, barely moving his lips, Lucas said, "She didn't call 911 right away." Ryan's heart skipped. Emily's head snapped toward Lucas. "What did you say?" Lucas froze. Ryan stepped closer again. "Lucas, when did your mom call 911? Lucas shook his head, scared. Emily's voice rose. "He's confused." Ryan ignored her. "Lucas." Lucas's voice broke. It was a long time." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. Because if that was true, then Emily didn't just lie about the fall. She waited. And people don't wait. Unless they're hiding something. Ryan slowly turned back to Emily. Her face had gone pale. "Mrs. Harper," he said quietly, "we need to talk." Emily took a step back. And for the first time, she looked like she might run. Emily didn't run. But for a second, it really looked like she might. Ryan saw it in her eyes, the quick thought, the small step back, the tight grip of her hands. Then it was gone. Just as fast. She forced a calm smile. "Detective, I think this has gone far enough for today." Ryan didn't move. "Mrs. Harper, your son just told me you didn't call 911 right away." Emily let out a soft laugh, but it sounded wrong. "He's a child." He was scared. Time probably felt longer to him. Ryan glanced at Lucas. Lucas wasn't looking at his mother anymore. He was staring at the floor, his shoulders shaking. Ryan turned back to Emily. "Then you won't mind if we confirm the exact time of the call." Emily crossed her arms. "Do whatever you need to do." But her voice had lost its warmth. Ryan gave a small nod. "I will." He stepped outside. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. The moment he reached his car, Ryan pulled out his phone and made a call. "Dispatch, this is Detective Brooks. I need the 911 call logs for the Harper residence from 2 nights ago. Exact timestamps." There was a short pause. Then, "Copy that. Sending now." Ryan waited, his fingers tapping on the steering wheel. His phone buzzed. He opened the file. His eyes scanned the numbers. Time of incident reported, 9:42 p.m. Ryan frowned. He flipped back to his notes. Lucas said the argument started around dinner, around 8:30 p.m. That was over an hour. An hour before calling for help. Ryan leaned back in his seat. "That's not panic," he muttered. "That's a delay." And delays meant decisions. He looked back at the house. One window upstairs caught his attention. A small figure stood there. Lucas. The boy was watching him. Ryan held his gaze for a second. Then Lucas quickly pulled the curtain shut. Inside the house, Emily stood very still. She listened to Ryan's car drive away. Then she turned slowly toward Lucas. "Why did you say that?" she asked. Her voice was quiet. Too quiet. Lucas backed up a step. "I didn't mean to." "You told him I waited," she said. Lucas shook his head quickly. I remembered." "You're remembering wrong." Lucas's breathing got fast again. "Mom, Stop," Emily said sharply. The word cut through the air. Lucas froze. Emily walked closer. Each step was slow. Controlled. "Listen to me," she said. "What happened that night was an accident. Your father fell." Lucas nodded quickly, but tears rolled down his face. "Yes, but nothing," Emily snapped. She knelt down in front of him. Her face softened, but her eyes didn't. "You love me, right?" she asked. Lucas nodded. "Then you need to trust me." Lucas hesitated. That tiny pause didn't go unnoticed. Emily's expression changed again. Just a little. Enough to scare him. "I'm telling the truth," she said. Lucas whispered, "Then why were you holding that bottle?" Emily went still. Completely still. "What bottle?" she asked slowly. Lucas wiped his tears. "The one in your hand, when I came down the stairs." Emily stared at him, her mind racing. "You were confused," she said. "No," Lucas whispered. "It was small. Dark. You dropped it when you saw me." Emily stood up quickly. "That's enough." Lucas flinched. Emily turned away, running a hand through her hair. Then she said something softer, almost like she was talking to herself. "He wasn't supposed to die like that." Lucas's eyes widened. "What?" he asked. Emily froze again. Slowly, she turned back. But this time, her face looked different. Not angry. Not scared. Something else. Something colder. "You didn't hear that," she said. Lucas shook his head, but his face said the opposite. "I did," he whispered. Emily stepped closer. "Lucas," she said gently, "sometimes adults say things they don't mean when they're upset." Lucas didn't answer, because he knew what he heard, and it didn't sound like a mistake. Later that night, the house was dark. Lucas lay in bed, eyes wide open. He couldn't sleep. Every little sound made his heart jump. The house didn't feel safe anymore. Not like before. Not like when his dad was alive. He turned to face the wall. Then he heard it. A soft creak. His door. Slowly opening. Lucas held his breath. The hallway light slipped into his room. A shadow moved across the floor. "Lucas," Emily's voice whispered. He didn't answer. "I know you're awake." Lucas slowly turned. His mother stood in the doorway, smiling. But it wasn't a kind smile. "Come downstairs," she said. Lucas sat up slowly. "Why?" Emily tilted her head. "Because we need to fix something." Lucas's stomach dropped. "Fix what?" he asked. Emily's smile grew just a little wider. "Our story." Lucas's hands started to shake. "'Cause now." It wasn't just about what he saw anymore. It was about what she was going to make him say next. Lucas didn't want to move. But his mother was still standing in the doorway, watching him. Waiting. "Come on," Emily said softly. Her voice sounded calm, but something about it made Lucas's chest feel tight. He slowly got out of bed. His feet touched the cold floor. Every step toward her felt heavy. They walked down the hallway together. The house was dark and quiet. Too quiet. When they reached the living room, Emily turned on a small lamp. A dim yellow light filled the space. "Sit," she said. Lucas sat on the couch. His hands were clenched together. Emily stayed standing for a moment, then slowly walked over and sat across from him. She smiled again. "Lucas," she said gently, "we need to make sure we both remember things the same way." Lucas swallowed. "I remember what happened." Emily's smile didn't change. "Not exactly." Lucas felt his heart beating faster. "Yes, I do," he whispered. Emily leaned forward slightly. "Your father was upset that night. He was angry. You heard that, right?" Lucas nodded slowly. "And he lost his balance," she continued. "He fell." Lucas shook his head. "No, there was a noise before that." Emily's eyes sharpened. "What kind of noise?" Lucas hesitated. Like something hitting the table." Emily was quiet for a second. Then she said, "Yes. He knocked something over when he slipped." Lucas looked confused. "But he wasn't near the table." Emily's smile faded just a little. "You didn't see everything," she said. Lucas's voice got smaller. "I saw you." The room went still. Emily leaned back slowly. "And what do you think you saw?" she asked. Lucas's lips trembled. "You were holding something." Emily let out a slow breath. Then she stood up and walked to the kitchen. Lucas watched her, scared. She opened a drawer. Lucas heard metal clink softly. Then she came back. In her hand was a small, dark bottle. Lucas's eyes widened. "That's it," he whispered. Emily looked at the bottle, then back at him. "This," she said calmly. "This is just medicine." Lucas shook his head. "No, you dropped it." Emily walked closer. She placed the bottle gently on the table. "Lucas," she said, "your father was sick. He just didn't tell you." Lucas frowned. "Sick?" Emily nodded. "Very sick. That's why he fell." Lucas looked at the bottle again. "Then why didn't you tell the doctor?" he asked. Emily didn't answer right away. She just stared at him. Then she said quietly, "Because some things are complicated." Lucas felt a chill. "Mom," he said, "did you give that to him?" Emily's face changed again. Not angry, not sad, just empty. "I tried to help him," she said. Lucas's breath caught. "Help," he whispered. Emily nodded slowly. "He was going to lose everything. Our home, our life. He said it himself." Lucas remembered the argument. The words about money. The shouting. "But that doesn't mean." "It means he was suffering." Emily snapped suddenly. Lucas flinched. Emily took a deep breath, calming herself again. "I didn't want you to see him like that," she said softly. "I was protecting you." Lucas shook his head, tears falling again. "That's not protection." Emily's eyes hardened. "You're too young to understand." Lucas stood up suddenly. "I understand that Dad is gone." His voice echoed in the room. Silence followed. A heavy, painful silence. Emily stared at him. For a moment, it looked like she might say something kind. But then, her expression turned cold again. "Sit down," she said. Lucas didn't move. "I said sit down." "No," Lucas whispered. Emily stood up slowly. "That's not a choice." Lucas backed away. "I don't want to lie," he said. Emily stepped closer. "It's not a lie. It's the truth we tell." Lucas shook his head harder. "No." Suddenly, Emily grabbed his arm. Not too hard, but enough to stop him. "Listen to me," she said, her voice low and sharp. "If you tell them anything else, they will take you away from me." Lucas froze. His eyes filled with fear. "You don't want that, do you?" she asked. Lucas couldn't speak, because part of him didn't believe her. But another part was terrified she might be right. Emily slowly let go of his arm. Then she smiled again. "That's what I thought." Lucas stepped back, shaking. At that exact moment, a loud knock hit the front door. Both of them froze. Another knock. Harder this time. "Mrs. Harper," a voice called out. "Police." Lucas's heart jumped. Emily's face went completely still. The knock came again. "Open the door." Emily slowly turned her head toward the door, then back to Lucas. And for the first time, she looked like she had run out of time. The knock came again. "Mrs. Harper, open the door." Emily stood still for one long second. Then she moved. Fast. She grabbed the small dark bottle from the table and looked around quickly, like she was trying to decide where to hide it. Lucas watched, his heart pounding so loud it felt like it filled the whole room. "Emily Harper," the voice called again. "We know you're inside." Emily rushed into the kitchen. Lucas heard a cabinet open, then close. Footsteps coming back. She stopped in front of him. Her face looked calm again. Too calm. "Remember what I told you," she whispered. "Everything will be okay if you just stick to the story." Lucas didn't answer, because now he knew the truth, and the truth didn't feel safe at all. The knocking got louder. Emily took a deep breath. Then she walked to the door and opened it. Detective Ryan Brooks stood there, along with another officer. "Mrs. Harper," Ryan said, his voice firm. "We need to come in." Emily stepped aside slowly. "Of course." Ryan walked in, his eyes scanning the room. Everything looked normal, but he could feel it. Something had changed. He turned to Lucas. "Hey," he said gently. Lucas looked at him. There was fear in his eyes. But also something else now. Something stronger. Ryan noticed. He turned back to Emily. "We received the call logs." Emily nodded. "And?" Ryan stepped closer. "You waited over an hour before calling 911. Emily crossed her arms. "I was in shock." Ryan didn't react. "And we also spoke to the medical examiner again." That made Emily pause. Just for a second. Ryan continued, "The poison found in your husband's system wasn't something he could have taken by accident." Silence. Heavy silence. Emily let out a small sigh. "I don't know what you think you're proving." Ryan looked straight at her. "I think you already know." Emily didn't answer. Ryan turned to Lucas again. "Lucas," he said softly, "I need you to tell me the truth." Emily spoke quickly. "He already has." Ryan didn't look at her. "Lucas." Lucas's hands shook. He looked at his mother. Then back at Ryan. His voice came out small, but clear. "She gave him something," he said. Emily's head snapped toward him. "Lucas." "It was in a bottle," Lucas continued, tears falling. "I saw it. She dropped it." "Stop talking," Emily said, her voice breaking. Ryan stepped forward. "Let him speak." Lucas took a shaky breath. They were arguing, and then there was a noise, and Dad fell, but he wasn't moving, and she just stood there. The room felt frozen. Every word hit harder than the last. Ryan's voice was calm, but firm. "Did she call 911 right away?" Lucas shook his head. "No." Emily closed her eyes. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, a quiet sound. A soft, broken laugh. Emily opened her eyes again. And this time, she didn't try to smile. "I tried to fix it," she said quietly. Ryan watched her carefully. "Fix what?" Emily looked at him. Then at Lucas. Then back again. "He wasn't supposed to die like that," she said. Lucas stepped back. Ryan's expression hardened. "What did you give him?" Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. "Something to calm him down." Ryan shook his head. "That's not what the report says." Emily let out a long breath. Her shoulders dropped. "I didn't mean to kill him," she said. The words hung in the air. "I just wanted him to stop," she continued. The shouting, the stress, everything was falling apart. Tears rolled down her face now. "I thought it would help," she said. "I thought he would just sleep." Ryan nodded slowly. "But he didn't." Emily shook her head. "No." Silence filled the room again. Then Ryan spoke. "Emily Harper, you are under arrest for the murder of Daniel Harper." The second officer stepped forward and gently took her hands. Emily didn't fight. As the handcuffs clicked, she looked at Lucas. For a moment, her face softened. "I did it for us," she said. Lucas didn't move. Didn't speak. Because nothing about this felt like love anymore. They led Emily to the door. She stopped for just a second. Then she walked out. The door closed behind her. And just like that, the house felt empty. Ryan turned to Lucas. He crouched down. "You did the right thing," he said. Lucas nodded slowly. But his face was still full of sadness. "Is she gone?" he asked. Ryan paused. Then nodded. "Yes." Lucas looked around the room. The same room. But everything felt different now. Because the truth was finally out. And the truth changed everything. Ryan stood up and looked around one last time. The neat house. The quiet walls. The hidden secrets. "They thought it was an accident," he said softly. Then he glanced at the report in his hand. "Until the autopsy came back. And now, there was no hiding it anymore.